intro song there, what you saw was an example of a three-part harmony. They call it three because there were three different instruments playing notes in harmony to each other. And today's lesson is for my beginner buddies out there. We're going to explain just exactly what those harmonies are and how you play them. Okay, so to do these harmonies and learn how to play them in a lead or to even understand what they are does require that you understand something about at least the major scale. I do have a whole series on all the scales and modes, and I'll link that up here. You might want to go through that if a lot of this stuff is kind of foreign to you before you come back and start talking about harmonies. But assuming you know that stuff, let's get on with what this is about. And it starts with the major scale. So if I have a basic major scale, as I taught with the 3 notes per string method, and I'm looking at G major, we just have a G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to the octave of the G. And if you play the scale, I continue on. So any one of the notes in there can also be assigned a number. So when you're playing the major scale, the first note is just 1. And then 2, and these are often written as Roman numerals, by the way, as well. But it's the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, then back to the octave, which is 8. You can keep counting 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on and so forth. That's how you end up with chords that you hear with like high numbers in them, like an 11 chord or something. It means that it's that note all the way 11 notes in the major scale from the original. So when you're looking to play harmony leads, you don't need to actually know the names of all the intervals and all that. If you know your modes, as you've gone through the series, you can just go up a certain number of spaces in the modes, and I'll come back to that in a minute, and it's what I did in the lead there. But I do want to talk about what the intervals are called, so you're not confused about what they're about. And for the beginner here, so you know what the harmonies are called and what it is. So you have an interval that you skip going from the first to the second, right? You went over this one in between. So if you played that note instead of playing the second in the major scale, it would just be called the minor or the flat second. You can use both terms interchangeably. Flat is one lower, sharp is one higher, right? So the same thing happens with the third. We go 1, 2, 3. We skipped a note here. And you can go back a half step, and that becomes called the minor third. 1, 2, 3, minor 3, or flat 3. You're not going to hear people say flat 3 too much, so we'll just call it the minor third. Then you go up to the fourth note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, if we go back a note from that fourth note, that's a C. There is no such thing as the minor fourth or the flat 4, because that note B is the same as the third. 1, 2, 3. That's a B. That's a B. So there is no minor fourth. It's just called the fourth, or sometimes you might hear it referred to as the perfect fourth. This has to do with the mathematics of harmonic overtones, something that really isn't necessary for playing music as far as understanding it. It's just if you really get into the nitty-gritty of it. But in any case, there is no minor or flat 4. Now we do skip a note from 4 to 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be a flat 5. You would think it would be called a minor 5, but it's not. It's actually called a diminished fifth. Again, this goes back to the mathematics of the frequencies and how they're called perfect overtones or not. So it's just with the 1, 4, and the 5 that you call them something other than major or minor. So you have the first, the second, minor second, first, second, third, minor third, first, second, third, fourth. There is no minor fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we're up to now. The flat 5, also called the diminished fifth. Now when you go from the 5th to the 6th, you've also skipped a note there. You have that note in between. Now we're back to the regular naming, just a minor 6th. Minor 6th or flat 6th. And then the 7th, from the 6th to the 7, that is E to F sharp. If you go flat on the F sharp, there is a different note there, that is the F. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the major 7th, or the minor 7th. You do have a flat 7 there. So that is all of the names of your intervals in the first octave. Once you get to the next octave, it's called an octave, and you could have a 9, which is the same as an octave. Well, that sounds awful by itself. Which is the same as a second, but an octave higher, which sounds nice if you play it with the 5th. And it's part of how you name chords, but that's the names of the intervals for you at the most basic level. Now, there's something else you might have heard. If you're looking at some exotic music, you've heard the term augmented, maybe an augmented fifth. You can call the minor sixth. If you're going up with a note, you can call it augmented. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go up a note and call that the augmented fifth instead of the minor sixth. It gets into a little bit more of advanced theory as to why you would use one term or the other. It's very rare that you're going to use that one, and I won't go too far into that for the purposes of a beginner lesson here, but I did want to make you aware of it in case you heard the term augmented thrown at you and you wanted to know what it was. So that's all your interval names. You'll know what to call them if you come across them, or if someone says something to you, they say play the minor third here, you'll understand what it is. One other little kind of theory and logistics kind of note here is that because these things are often written in Roman numerals, you will see capital letters and lowercase letters sometimes. If something's written with a lowercase letter, like 3 lowercase i's, that means a minor third. If it's 3 uppercase i's, they mean the major third when they write it like that. Now, I said I was going to talk about the modes and how you write the harmony leads without having to know all this. And this supposes that you know your 7 modes, you've gone through the mode series, or you already know it from something else, and you write a part and you just want to quickly be able to play the harmony to it. Well, in the intro song there, you saw me play the very top of the major scale as I've taught it to you in the 3 notes per string method. So the melody was something like this, which is at the top of. And for me to play the harmony for it, I wanted to play the third, which is 1, 2, 3. So I go up 2 modes. I go from the G Ionian, G major, to the A Dorian, up to the B Phrygian. And now I just play the top of that mode in the same exact position. So there it is. If you know your modes, you know this position. And so this becomes this. And I copy all of the patterns that I was playing as far as whether it was the first, second, or third note on that string. I transpose it to the mode that I'm playing as the harmony. And when I add the last one, it was the 5th harmony. So I did the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th like you would build a chord. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's D. It becomes D Mixolydian. Again, if you know the modes, you know all the way through this. So here I was, using the same, starting with the 3rd note on that string and working my way back and building the entire pattern exactly the same as I did in the major scale, but playing it in the 5th mode from the major scale. So once you've got your modes down from the mode series, writing harmony leads becomes very easy. You just jump up the number of modes that you want for the harmony to be. So I know the modes part of it here is not totally beginner stuff. You would have had to have gone through my whole mode series or understand the modes already on your own. So now we've jumped into a bit more advanced playing. But I definitely wanted to take you from the beginning part of it, which is just what the intervals are called, all the way through once you've done the modes, how you can quickly build these harmony leads without having to sit there and guess and play them and wonder which note is right and if they sound weird and funky when you play them. If you just stick within your modes, you will write harmonies that are in key every time. So if you have any questions or comments, guys, please leave them below. If there's anything you feel I could expound on or cover a little better so you understand it better, let me know. It always helps me out and makes it easier for me to give you good lessons. And until next time, keep making great music. Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.